Welcome budgeteers. Today we are looking at a Teneb the Harvester deck. This comes out of a recommendation from Crovax13. Crovax, thank you for recommending this deck, for supporting the channel, and if any of you have a specific deck you want to see, just let me know. So here's the idea behind the deck. Teneb is a great Abzan Reanimator commander. He does cost 6 CMC, but he's also a 6/6 flyer, which is pretty good. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, we can play 2 and a black, and if we do, put target creature card from any graveyard onto the battlefield under our control, which is pretty great. Now this also has an alternate win con of Mortal Kombat. It's in 4 CMC enchantment. This says at the beginning of your upkeep, if 20 or more creature cards are in your graveyard, you win the game. So we are using Mortal Kombat as an alternate win con and not our main objective, but we did shift our deck to include more creatures for a lot of our utility slots to make Mortal Kombat a little more doable. And then also we're going to have some group mill things because we want to pull out the biggest stuff out of graveyards using Reanimation as our biggest part of the deck that we are focusing on. So let's jump straight into it, and let's jump in with some of the biggest, best Reanimation targets we can hit. I threw in 3 here that I really like on a budget. Butcher of Malakir, one of my favorite cards of all time, comes in at 7 CMC flying, but whenever it or another creature we control dies, any creature, doesn't even have to be non-token, each opponent sacrifices a creature, turning stuff into a one-sided board wipe. Now that also pairs super well with Izoni Thousand-Eyed, which is also great by itself, which has Undergrowth, and when she enters the battlefield, we create a 1/1 black and green insect creature token for each creature card in our graveyard. Since we are very creature heavy and trying to put creatures in the graveyard already, that's going to be great, and we can play black-green to sack another creature, gain a life, and draw a card. So a nice little card draw engine, again, can be used in tandem with Butcher of Malakir to make other people sack stuff. It's awesome. Artisan of Kozilek, just a nice strong Eldrazi that we can pull out for 3 CMC with Teneb's ability, and whenever we cast it, so we don't get the cast trigger if we do reanimate it, but if we do end up casting it from our hand the first time, we get to return any creature card from our graveyard to the battlefield. Again, more reanimation, and having a 10/9 Annihilator 2 is pretty darn nice. So those are some of my favorite reanimation targets, and whatever else is at the table, we're going to be able to pull out other people's graveyards as well. So we do want a way to make sure that stuff gets put into graveyards from our opponents as well, giving us as many possibilities as we can get. So we have 5 cards that just mill our opponents or everyone, including ourselves. One of my favorites is Decimator Web. It is expensive. It costs 4, and then it taps for 4. But then target opponent loses 2 life, gets a poison counter, then puts the top 6 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. So it is costing 4, but putting 6 cards is pretty crazy. But then also, if we can get a turn 1 Ghoul Caller's Bell or Codex Shredder, each turn we're going to be able to either put a card from everyone's library right on top into the graveyard or one person. So those are amazing turn 1 plays, and those are absolutely awesome. Also, Eye Collector hits somebody, mills them. Grind Clock does a similar thing with charge counters. So we're going to have a few ways to hopefully mill everyone and grab some stuff out of our opponent's graveyard as well. Now, something that is really fun about this deck to me is that basically all of our removal on this is essentially in the form of creatures to do that Mortal Kombat alternate win con from time to time. So things like Ravenous Chupacabra is just really solid. It's a 2/2 body for 4, and when it comes in, we destroy a target creature our opponent controls. Very simple. So you can see we have lots of effects like this. We have Acidic Slime to hit artifacts, enchantments, or lands. Rex Sage to do the same thing. Big Game Hunter destroys a creature. Terastodon is going to destroy 3 things. It's going to be awesome. And when these things die, they fill up that creature count either for Izoni or for the Mortal Kombat, which is amazing. Now, also, we are the deck that wants stuff to die. So I actually put in a couple extra. I normally don't put 5 board wipes in a deck, but this one has 5 board wipes. Massacre Girl, awesome new card out of War of the Spark. And she's going to be able to be essentially a board wipe during most times, and we don't care if everything else dies. So that's going to be great. And again, it's in the form of a creature, you got it. So that's going to work on Mortal Kombat as well. Akroma's Vengeance, we have the ability to cycle it if we're ahead in the game. And Duneblast, I think, is incredible. I think more people need to be running Duneblast at 7 CMC. And it says, choose up to 1 creature, destroy the rest. I think a reason a lot of people don't play this is they see the 7 CMC and think that it's bad. But here's an example. Teneb costs 6 the first time we play him. So let's picture a world where we get to save Teneb and pay 7 mana to destroy everyone else. That seems pretty good. But if you think about it the reverse way, let's say you pay 4 mana for a Shatter the Sky, which is a new board wipe. It destroys everything. Now we have to pay 8 mana to get Teneb back. So that's a total of 10, which is more than 7, and that's just to get Teneb back. So I think Duneblast is absolutely worth it, and I think you should think about it if you have an expensive or important commander and you're running the Abzan colors. Also, I want to talk about mana ramp, because I think there are some pretty fun ones in this deck. And again, if you look at these cards, we are creature heavy in this as well. So we're even running something like Ondu Giant, which is essentially the bad version of Farhaven Elf, coming in at 4 CMC with a 2/4 body. And when it comes in, we just get a basic land tapped. Again, not a great rate. Most decks don't want it. While Farhaven Elf is fine for the rate, Ondu Giant is normally not. But we want to get more creatures because then we have the ability to reanimate it if we want, and it's going to help that Mortal Kombat number. So, thank you again to Crovax for supporting the channel and for checking out this deck. Before we go on to our game winner section, let's just take a look at a couple things. First off, if we go over to TCG Player, we can see that this deck cost actually under $25. So Teneb is a little bit older of a commander, which helped us out, and we were able to build this deck extremely efficiently. Now, this list does not include any lands, so you will have to pick up a land base yourself, but that is okay. Also, thank you for watching today. If you want to help me and support the channel, you can hit that like button. If you want to know when other videos come back, hit subscribe and hit the bell icon. But otherwise, thank you so much. So let's jump straight into game winners for the day. So obviously, Teneb is the main way we're going to win the game. We're going to want to use that ability every single turn, which is insane. And hopefully, we're going to be using other people's graveyards as well. Now, again, I put Butcher of Malakir on here just to show that this is a unique deck and that we want the board to basically be cleared all the time. We want a lot of stuff to die and just get more value essentially than anyone else by getting CMC cost reductions using Teneb and by getting card advantage by drinking stuff out of graveyards. And then also, of course, we have that Mortal Kombat, which says at the beginning of your upkeep, if 20 or more creature cards are in your graveyard, you win the game. So that's a nice little easy way. You play it, your opponents get 1 turn to react to it, to get rid of it if you have your 20 cards already, and then you win the game. We also run 1 copy of Diabolic Tutor just to give us a little bit of redundancy to get that, or we could grab some other things as well. But once we get to the late game, we can tutor up Mortal Kombat and just go off and try to win the game. So thank you again for joining me today, Budgeteers. If you have a Teneb deck, let me know what you think I should add or take out. But otherwise, have a great day.